we got to be more consistent more than anything, and that's, I think, kind of been a theme all year. Obviously, turnovers hurt, but I think consistency can obviously help with the turnovers, but also across the board, just doing your job, and that's what we told them is early on, if you really look at it, the first half, we dominated, but we didn't have. You're down 28-17. You've pretty much dominated the half because of inconsistencies. You know what I mean? And then that happens, and then it kind of snowballed on us. But like I said, I thought they had a great day today. Played fast and just get back to doing what we do. And like I said, I don't think again that it was all bad. We're too inconsistent. We moved the ball really well up and down, and then you get killed because of just one small inconsistent play and put you in a bad spot. But again, I thought they've had a great attitude so far this week. Moved around fast today, and hopefully we continue that.
You've seen a lot of Kedon now this season. Do you have an idea what your message is going to be to him for the offseason, things to work on for next year?
Yeah. I think with quarterbacks, I mean with all guys, but with quarterbacks in particular, I hold them to a high standard, expect a lot out of them. And Kedon is a really special player and does a lot of great things. But obviously, I think the biggest thing for him is just going to be take care of the football. And the other night he had some bad luck a little bit. I mean, the ball gets batted, and on the one TV falls down. The guy kind of bangs him. He falls down, doesn't get a call, and the ball gets picked. So he's had some bad luck on some. But at the same time, he's got to be smart with the ball, and that's the quarterback's job. But the thing, like I said, Kedon's a really smart kid. I think he's a really humble kid. He tries to improve every day. He works really hard, and so when you got a kid like that, the improvement from game to game you can usually see quite a bit. But really the only true freshman quarterback I've been around was Mason at North Texas, and his improvement from year 1 to year 2 was unbelievable. And so. Kedon with a full year under his belt, and obviously you got to go earn the job, and whoever's here, that's the thing about us, we're going to make people compete. But when you have a full year under your belt, the improvement from year 1 to year 2 is unbelievable, or from what I've seen, and really that's in any system and any quarterback. The longer you're in it, the better you're going to be, but especially after a season when you can really sit back and try to grow, and you have a long time to grow, and evaluate yourself on a full season long, and see what you did well, see what you can do better. Like I said, the improvement just seems to skyrocket. So I think the sky's the limit for that kid. He's as talented of a kid as I've ever been around, and mentally he's really, really sharp. And like I said, I don't think you're around kids like that real often. And so for him, the sky's the limit, and that'll be the expectation for him Saturday, and that'll be the expectation for him as long as I work with him, is to be really special because he's capable and really special. And that's really what I believe, and I think we believe as an offensive staff, is you got to hold people to high standards. And in quarterbacks, I'm going to hold them to an extremely high standard and expect that out of them. And the better they are and the better they want to be, the higher the standard you better hold them to. And not only is he a talented kid, he wants to be special, and so he lets you hold him accountable. And so that's what's going to make that kid really, really special. And like I said, he's a great kid to work with. I love working with him, and I'm going to expect a lot out of him every day on the practice field, from starting today, starting tomorrow, and like I said, every day we're going to hold him to a higher standard because he can be held to that standard.
You had a play on the opening drive where he slipped through like 3 different people, throws a touchdown, then tried to do it again down in the red zone. It became a strip sack. How do you reconcile the same intention really?
I think that you got to let kids play, you know what I mean? And if you got an open receiver, he needs to throw it to him, obviously. But when things break down and stuff like that, I think he's done a pretty nice job most of the season of being able to move around. And one thing that I love about him is when he's moving, he moves to throw. He keeps his eyes downfield. He's always looking to throw the football. But he also has to be able to sense when he's in traffic. And I think he has a really great sense in the pocket. Because that's hard to teach. It really is. Like understanding space in the pocket. He doesn't take up much space to throw the football. And that's a special gift for quarterbacks, because he has a really small radius to throw a football out of. And like I said, that's just something you either naturally have or you naturally don't have. I also think having a natural feel in the pocket is something that we're going to work on always, but it's also something that you have to just naturally feel. And he has a great feel for that. He has a great feel for space, where to move, where to slide, where to be able to get a ball off from. And so when he's moving, he has to develop that same sense. And I don't think that he doesn't have it. I think he can feel it. He just has to have. He probably has less experience of that, obviously, than sitting in a pocket. And so he has to understand when the ball's got to come out, or when he just has to tuck it and take the sack. the other night, I think we're up 10-7 at the time, and we're about to go up either 17-7 or 13-7. If he holds on that ball and you take that sack there, you're fine. You still go up 13-7, and you still have a lot of momentum going into half. You put it on the ground, you give them all the momentum, and they go down and score and take the lead. And so, obviously, that was a huge play and a really costly play. But again, I think you got to let him play. I don't think you can handcuff anybody. You know what I mean? When they start moving, that's just something quarterbacks do naturally. And again, you can't create robots. You can't have him, hey, if you take one step here, the ball needs to come out. You got to let him do what he does, but he has to have a sense of taking a sack's not always the worst thing, or throwing the football away is not always the worst thing, and that's something that you have to constantly stay on quarterbacks about, and also something the more times they're in that situation, they'll improve at. You know what I mean? Because like I said, you just develop a sixth sense for that. You develop a sense for, hey, it's a lost play, it's a lost call, just take the sack or take care of the football at that point. And like I said, you don't want to limit him, but you got to take care of the football, and he has to understand that, and I think he will. He'll improve on that, and as all quarterbacks do once they start moving, the more they're in that spot. So that's the expectation there. Obviously, that's what I tell him the most. Even on the one where he threw the touchdown, the first thing I say to him is, hey, great play, but understand, like, that was a very dangerous play, especially once you kind of started rolling to the left. When you turn back around the other way, you're asking for trouble, you know what I mean? So on that one, I really kind of told him, hey, don't try that one again. Like I said, great play, but if you get out to the left, stay out to the left, because you turn back, you're asking to get killed and the ball's coming loose. So there's going to be talks like that you always have to have with guys, especially, again, he's young and experienced, and he probably hasn't had a ton of reps like that. But I love how he's made plays, moving around. If you watch the best quarterbacks in the league, like watch Patrick Mahomes, he's a different animal. But most of the plays he makes aren't coming on rhythm. You know what I mean? They're coming from moving in the pocket. Watch Aaron Rodgers, same thing. Rarely is he just throwing everything on rhythm. A lot of it's coming off movement. And Kedon's really done a really nice job of that, being able to move, being able to continue to make plays. But he has to have a much better sense of when it's over. You know what I mean? When it's over, just cut your losses. Either throw the ball away, take the sack, but you can't put the ball on the ground. You can't throw it to the other team.
You guys have had to lean on Keenan for a couple games now in the run game. Was this a pass game kind of an example of where just being down to that minimal depth might have hurt you a little bit in terms of being able to establish the run?
Yeah, absolutely. We're obviously limited there, and just depth-wise. Kedon's a special player, and he has a different skill set, but again, he's a true freshman too, and so he's probably going to see, he sees some things for the first time and might make some mistakes. That's to be expected, but he also has made some big plays. But at the end of the day, he can't carry it 30 times probably. He didn't just, he's a true freshman, and two, he's pretty light, and you got to get him some rest. So, like you said, the depth there obviously is an issue that we'll continue to work on and continue to be creative on ways to be able to still establish a run game with the guys we have. And I think that's our challenge as coaches whenever you have depth issues is still figure out a way to develop, and like you said, to establish the run game however you got to do it.
Let's go one more.
What did you think of Mason's dinosaur costume on Saturday?
I haven't even seen it. I've heard about it, though. I don't know. That's really out of his character. So I'd be interested to know how that came about and what the thought process was there, because he's really a pretty shy kid and stuff. It might have been to hide his face because he is that shy. You never know with Mason, but I love that kid. And again, I don't know the backstory there, so I'm going to have to call him and get the backstory before I can really have feelings on it. But I was actually shocked when I heard it because, again, that's just, when you know him, that's really out of character for him. So I don't know if he lost a bet or if he's just at that point in the season where he's like, I'm just going to have fun and forget what anyone else thinks. But it had to be one of the two, because he's not just going to do that out of just, he thinks that's a good idea, I promise.